and it's outdoor season. That's it. That's the show. It's outdoor season. Just kidding. It's
All
not.
right, see y'all next week.
Because that's what it feels like indoor season was.
I mean, listen, there is no exaggeration there.
Yeah.
Like,
Literally.
for real, doesn't it feel strange that Indoor Worlds is this coming weekend? Like, it feels like that meet is so too late at this point. Like, it feels like that meet should have happened a month ago.
Agreed.
You know, even funnier was watching posts of people pre-meeting and practicing for Indoor Worlds. Outside. Outside. Like, this should tell you there's a problem with this meet.
Yes. Yep. I'd love to know the sheer amount of collegiate athletes that are there.
It definitely got to be more. It has to be more than maybe ever.
Yeah. I mean, because it fits right into that first meet weekend where you're really not doing anything.
Yeah.
You're licking your wounds after NCAAs and trying to get recovered. Hey, country calls up and says, "Hey, would you like to go over to is it Nanjing?
Nanjing.
Yeah. Sure.
Right. I'll take those frequent flyer miles.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So somebody was explaining to me, like, it has to do with the calendar. There's an extra week in March,
yes,
or whatever, right?
Yep.
But the thing is, as much as that's true, folks, things are still always related to other things, and they can stay that way. The meet has always been between conference weekend and NCAAs.
Right.
It's always been that week, which is why collegians almost never do it. But if you put it the week after NCAAs, you might get some collegians there.
So it's been a minute since we've had two, we normally have two back-to-back home meets. And with this schedule that we're dealing with, Texas Relays falls that last weekend in March. So we only have this weekend for a home meet, and then we're moving in, right? We're moving on. Next year, Texas Relays is the first weekend in April. So even though it's still a later season, like it starts later, we're gonna have those 2 weeks sandwiched in March, which gives us a far more leeway to kind of take a time.
It happens because people don't just lock in to where it stands in the calendar, right? So everybody should have like that extra week to figure it out. It shouldn't affect the rest of their schedules, but like you watch, so it'll depend on what Florida Relays chooses to do next year, because this year Florida Relays is on the first weekend of April, right? Last year it was in the last weekend of March.
Yep.
So now the question is going to be, where will it be next year? Because if it's the first week of April, it's the same weekend as Texas Relays, and that has happened before too.
That has happened before, And as coaches, I mean, if you're not someone that's easily adaptable, that understands that, hey, the results may be a little off this year at Texas Relays, considering, the big timers haven't had that extra time. Not to mention spring break, right? So as much as we'd like to think that they're behind closed doors just hibernating for that weekend, no. Your eyes and ears are wide open that Monday, because woo.
What's funny is, because you have lived in Texas for quite some time, but many of our viewers don't realize part of the reason for the kerfuffle with the schedule with Texas Relays is it's a much bigger high school meet than it is anything else.
Yes, it is.
And it has to fit. They just work backwards from the state meet.
That's right. Exactly.
It has to fit where it has to fit.
Yes. How are you? Let's turn the tide, Chu. How are you, Big League?
Oh,
How are you doing?
How is Big League?
Why does your hair look longer?
because it's actually down. I never wear my hair down.
I have never. Oh my gosh.
I know she actually has really long hair.
Yeah. Well, that's actually short compared to what when I was growing up and whatnot. I actually had hair as long as my butt
Wow.
for almost a lot of my uh growing up.
Okay.
And then one day senior year, I said, yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Hmm.
no, I mean, I am great. There is nothing wrong. There's literally nothing wrong. I am healthy as can be. I'm surviving this wind storm that we have,
Yep.
no
Bruh.
allergies. So I mean, like if you and I aren't sneezing and scratching our eyes and nose, like we're good.
Hmm.
So for this windstorm to not have that effect, I'm so appreciative. It's just the transition to outdoor season, home meet this weekend, so that's always fun. And it's always, I think it's entertaining. I think you can understand this as well, being with the stuff that you have and you guys have home meets. For the teams who come who have meet staffs,
Hmm.
and when they come to our meets and they're like, where's the entries? How come this? What about this? Pass list that. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I just finished practice.
Yeah.
Give me just a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, well,
Same
I want to
here.
make sure the travel's okay. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that great?
Hmm.
I would
Yeah.
want to know the travels too. And I'm like,
Well,
Yep.
but
it's interesting, and I've always told my wife that if, or if we were to be fortunate enough to go back into that space again and to have an assistant walk up to me and goes, "No, coach, put that rake down. It's
mm,
okay. You don't need to shovel the pit. I got it. Why don't you just tell me what you need? I'll have it all ready for." No, I, I,
what?
I'm trying to conceptualize that. Like it's,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So,
Right.
but what are we discussing and talking about today?
So
So much fun stuff, I think.
the pigeon came by and dropped by this first question.
Hmm.
This one, I've got a place in my heart for this one. And I think you would too. Should there be an age limit at the NCAA level? I say
Ooh.
yes. I say yes.
All right. Uh, so my brain to answer that question is already formulating all kind of thoughts, and the first thought that comes to mind was how shocking it was, I'd say 15, 20 years ago. I mean, I'd say the first one that really just stuck into my mind was the QB at Florida State.
Uh, Chris Winkie.
And I'm just going, how? How is that possible? Right? And then they start to understand how baseball works,
Right.
how going to the minor leagues works. You
Right.
go in there, you give it a shot, you see, you test yourself, you make a couple of $100,000, you go on travel squad, you're bussing it. And then you get to a point where you're like, I, I think I should try this QB thing. I think I'm gonna pick up the phone or agent makes a call
Mhm.
and you have the next QB at Florida State, right? And it's that was very it was shocking in itself. Now, it worked. He was successful. Um, I mean, they won a lot of games and that sort of thing, but it was an oddity. It was an oddity back then. You know,
Yeah, he was a unicorn at the time.
yeah, yeah. We've always known about BYU. BYU is by far the standard, and we fully understand the loophole, doing your missionary work overseas, and
Duties.
that being a part of your tour of duty, if you will.
Hmm.
And you come back, and then you have a track team, basketball team, baseball team full of grown men and women. And that's always been the case. But as long as I've been in the NCAA, we've always known and accepted that. I think we are now at a point where there are so many loopholes and there's so many
Oh
nooks
man.
and crannies.
I don't know if they're loopholes anymore. I mean, I think they're being, I can't even say being written in. I think that their legislation is being changed to intentionally allow for these things.
Yeah.
I would say really quick that I definitely think that there should be, and I even have a thought as to what it should be. My thought is that 19-year-old high school senior is not standard, but it happens, right? And then I could give you a gap year, and some odd off months, which would put you starting school at 21. So in my mind, the age limit should be 25 by the start of school. So that would mean the oldest person you would have in a college sport would be 26.
Okay.
But you can't be 26 turning 27. You can be 25 turning 26. And my thought process about that is not all inclusive, but I think it's more than fairly inclusive enough.
Okay. So I love your math, because when you talk about you can have 17, 18, or 19-year-old kids coming out of high school, right? That's just where the age, your birthday lands, all that stuff. When you add in, like if you were really to calculate it down, what are the things that would delay your graduation? Number one, red shirt. So that's a year. So you're adding a year, right? Number two, how much eligibility do you have? 4 years, right? So now you're at 5 plus 19. Okay, so now you're at 24. The other thing that you add into the mix is, and let me, correct me if I'm wrong. How does medical jive with red shirt?
So it used to be
Okay.
Presumptive, right? If you got hurt, then they would use that as your red shirt year.
Okay.
And then at the end, you could petition to get the medical year back. That used to be successful about 6 to 8%. It is now successful about 96 to 98% if you play football. If you play football or basketball, it's crazy because it's still only about 60-65% successful if you do track or another non-revenue sport. But basically, if you're a football player and you want to keep playing football, they'll figure out a way for you to keep playing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I remember talking to a trainer for football here, and he was telling me that because of NIL, because of, the transfer portal, all of that, football has now turned into a situation where it used to be, if you got hurt, you are fighting tooth and nail to get back on the field by the end of the year. Now, in this landscape, if a kid goes down, you can kiss that year goodbye. As long as that kid has not played 4 games, he is not. He is not. And then, so you're, not to get off topic, but Now you start to understand why 105 being a limit is driving these coaches crazy, because you could have a really bad situation real quick.
You
But
can have
that's
TCU.
their own issue where they don't
I
want to they just don't want to make any decisions.
exactly, exactly. So again, 19 being the latest that a kid would come out of high school. You add in the 4 years, the red shirt, and the possible medical. 25 is it for me.
Right?
That 25 would be the absolute oldest that you should be while being in the NCAA.
And also, so to that, I think that is the limit.
Mm-hmm.
And you can use your eligibility all the way up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
So if you come in at 23, just know you'll be done at 25.
Right.
Right. So that if you come in at 23, you got your 23-24 year, your 24-25 year, and your 25-26 year. That's it.
Yeah.
We don't even need to do any of these readings anymore.
Well,
you got 3.
We do, but
I know, because then we got competitions and all this other stuff.
Okay. I don't know what happened here. I thought I asked for an hour late, but apparently I asked for an hour early.
Your math was not mathing, sir.
Your
you asked
math
for
was
an
not
hour
mathing.
early.
So I am in the vehicle trying to get home for my hour late start time. Yeah, I don't really know nothing about that. So I will simply say on the category of age
Should
limits,
there be an age limit? Yeah.
it's very simple. The day that you turn 26, you are disqualified.
Thank you.
So
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care if it's in the middle of the year. That's your business.
No, we can't do that.
I absolutely can do that.
No.
I absolutely can do that.
No.
25
so
is
basically,
my
we
cutoff.
all agree. We all agree that
25 is my cutoff.
25 is.
Listen, if mom and dad spit you out at the wrong time of year, that's a you problem. 25.99, you good. If you turn 26 when the gun goes off at NCAA's, you out.
So you compete at NCAA indoors.
Right.
That's right.
You turn 26.
That's right.
The next day, no outdoor season.
No outdoor season. Hey, he got you points though. He got you points. Everybody, listen. He still get to go to class, right?
Oh my gosh.
Still get a scholarship.
Oh boy.
And I want to say this. My proposal of you can't start the year any older than 25. That is all inclusive. That's inclusive of your 2-year mission, people.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what that means? Look, you got a 2-year mission. I understand that. We factored that in. You just don't get a redshirt year anymore.
Yeah.
That is also inclusive of, and I'm probably going to get canceled for this, the pregnancy waivers.
Oh my gosh. Ooh.
Bro, we're giving you 6 years from a standardized graduation. And let's be honest, for most people, it's 7. Most people graduate from high school at 18, not 19.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was all inclusive of all high school people. Right. So in all honesty, if you're a standardized human being and you graduate from high school 18, and I'm telling you, you can't start your senior year any later than age 25, you got time to have a couple of kids. We don't need to be adding, listen, in my opinion, 25 to start your last year of eligibility is more than fair. Like I said, it does not include every human being, but it is definitely inclusive enough to create fair play.
So there's one more little loophole that, I think we've seen that has stretched these things out, and we're seeing some 25, 26-year-old, 27-year-old freshmen, and that is military service.
I'm not here for that. Go serve your country. It's cool. Everybody don't get to run. Sorry.
Kareem.
But
I don't care if there's a picture of you blowing bin Laden's head off.
Oh my gosh.
You're done. in your 25 to 26 year. That's it. I don't care. I don't care.
So what are the odds that this is even getting a sniff in this new agreement that's being the settlement? Do we have any insight into whether or not they will even consider implementing this?
So here's what I think. You know, the legislators that are currently trying to fight to make sure that their sons and daughters have spots on teams that are currently incredibly international, they actually have a chance at getting what they want if they do it this way. If they try to eliminate international athletes, they have zero chance.
Right. Absolutely.
But if they create an age limit,
yeah,
that is more than meeting in the middle.
Well, what an age limit would do is, you know, because we're all going through it with compliance officers and stuff like that, where a kid might be 2 years out of high school, right? So the kid's 20, 21 years old, hasn't competed for a team outside of their national team. All the meets are exempt, right? So of course you're going to get your 4 years, right? The math is mathing. Well, if there's an age limit, you're now telling that kid, hey, despite the fact that you might come in as a freshman, you're only getting 3 years here.
And let's just look, we're going to stop doing that too. You're going to come in as a sophomore, so that we're not having that.
Yeah.
Like we're going to clean up all of this, right? Because I want people to understand something. If you graduated at 18 years old, went to an Ivy League school, and then had the pandemic, you would still graduate by your 25, 26 year with a redshirt year.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, the Ivy League had their year didn't count because they didn't, right? So like, even those people, everybody's like, the number of people that we're talking about eliminating is so tiny in reality. I don't really care who it eliminates that we currently know.
Right.
Yes, we could all name names, but at the end of the day, like, I think we all in the back of our minds feel like those people don't belong in college.
Well, it on a different side, I mean, I think we could talk about this for hours, but let's go back 20 years, 30 years, and how we felt as 18-year-olds coming into the NCAA. There was no sense of like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna get my butt whooped. I didn't walk in there feeling that way. I felt that a 20, 21-year-old was well within my reach. I had already, and of course, I mean, I'm a special case, and I'm only speaking from my perspective. I felt like I could go to any meet and line up with anybody, right? Think about what the average 18-year-old now that steps into.
That's because they could compete against somebody who's 10 years older than them.
Yes, it's true.
And the physical maturation is visible, and it's scary.
Yeah.
It honestly is, right? Like, I can't even think about like only keeping it in the realm of track and field, but now go outside out of track and field. It's daunting to think that you could have a grown person
Absolutely
go head to head against someone who is still developing.
So let's just take Auburn right now. Auburn basketball, the average age on Auburn basketball
older than OKC's
roster. The average age is 23 years old.
They have an NBA G League roster.
Yes. And this is where we're at. And that's why you have coaches going on national TV, doing interviews, talking about they can't and they will not recruit high school kids.
I mean, Rick Pitino said it.
Said it.
Said it. We are not recruiting any high school kids.
I mean,
and then he justified it. We're losing our 3 best scorers,
right?
And they can't be replaced with high school kids,
right?
Because what he's not saying is the rest of that sentence is and compete at the level that we want to and need to and expect to compete.
Yeah, exactly.
We are not going to go backwards. So because we play nice.
Mm-hmm.
If these are the rules, we're going to play by the rules and put the best roster out there that we can.
Exactly. And all he is doing is playing with the cards that he's been dealt.
Yeah.
That's all he's doing. So how long
college baseball is just as bad.
It's just as bad, huh?
Like now the goal is to have as old a team as possible.
Right. What's next, Chu?
So, last piece that I wanted to put in there real quick was it's not about eliminating people's opportunities.
No.
No.
It's about giving opportunity to everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone can have the experience, but we're robbing experiences of the youngers, regardless of the youngers, right? Like if they're international or domestic, like it's still robbing them of that experience because they just get the stage gets too big.
I appreciate Chewy trying to say this in a soft and gentle way. I'm all for taking opportunities away from these grown ass people.
Well, but so the grown people, yes. I'm saying, no, what I'm saying though is the age cap is from the 26 is okay. The 30
it's not really okay. It's not. Asking 18-year-old children to compete against 25-year-old adults isn't actually okay.
No.
But because of all the shenanigans that we have to accommodate for in this country and in this system,
the money that's readily available
Right.
to those
is what it is.
individuals.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. So I'm all for hurting the feelings of the 25, 26-year-old crew. Like, get over yourselves and get your ass out. It's not you're not children.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not. All right, so next question sent by, what's it called? Anyways, the groundhog. That's what I was trying to think of. What happens after you set a record? Specifically, we had the NCAA meet just happen, and there are some records that were set. What's next? So can one of you please inform the audience who doesn't know what actually needs to happen next? Like, what are the logistics after the record is set?
All right, so I'm gonna speak from layman's terms.
Yes,
right?
Please do.
Okay, and I'm gonna broaden it out a little bit. Okay. Now let's just take the NFL. And I'm gonna bring it in a little bit. A touchdown is scored, right? But there is instant review. They want to see if the knee touched down before the ball crossed the line. Same thing happens in football. Same thing happens, baseball. Did he get tagged out? There's instant replay right now. And for us, there are complaints about how long that takes. Well, in track and field, the goalpost and what it takes to set a record is one of the most painstaking things. Like if you actually get through the process,
my little guy.
It is absolutely insane. Okay. And I'm just going to throw off the top of my head. Let's just start with, did you use the correct starting blocks?
Yes.
Did you have drug testing at your meet?
The right shoes.
Did you wear the right shoes? Was the correct measuring device used? Is your track certified? I mean, I did not know this, but last year there was a meet at a very high level university, that was canceled because they did not have a shoe person on
Wow.
deck. And I'm like, what? So the sport, and we saw this, and we've been hearing about, what World Athletics is attempting to do, to move into WTA or the tennis world where there is an exclusive club. And if you're going to compete at the World Championship level, you have to compete at World Championship meets. And the casualties just keep coming. So this is where I'll just let soon to be Summer Cheeks. Oh, I said it. I said it. Oh. Just give us a couple of those casualties.
Well, yes. This is one of those topics that I think has infuriated me more and more as I've worked in baseball. It always bothered me, but now I think it infuriates me because if I start at the end and work backwards, basically you're responsible for throwing the pass and catching it, right? And then marking yourself as a touchdown and informing the media that you scored. Like when you set a record, and I say set because the record hasn't officially been set till it's been ratified and proclaimed official by World Athletics.
Right.
When you set a record, the responsibility falls on you, your coach, your school, your governing body, your national governing body, right? In that order, right? To do all of these steps. Now,
WADA.
other than the blocks.
WADA, USADA.
Right. But other than the blocks, you are left to fend for yourself. So if you go and perform above your national record or an area record or heaven forbid a world record, you then have to do exactly what you were talking about, but check not most of these boxes, not some of these boxes, but all of them. So, as a case in point, if you look up the world junior record in the men's 200, it is the correct person, Ariane Knighton, and is a time listed of 1969. We all know that before he turned 20, in his age 19 year, that he ran 1949, when legal. But there were no pressure pad blocks used at the LSU meet. So his 1949 was never ratified. So he lost the world record, just as the young man from Canada, they went to Georgia.
Christopher Morales Williams.
Yes, yep. CMW lost the world record in the 400 for the same reason.
44-49 at the SEC championships.
The former world record in the men's 4x4 set by USC, I believe, was lost because of drug testing protocols. And that brings me to what I believe was the genesis of the question. So, two things. This past weekend at the NCAA meet, did you guys all know that Bella Whitaker set the American record in the 400? If you knew that, raise your hand. Right. Okay.
Second question. Did the announcers say that?
They did eventually. Because they had to. That's fast. Wait, that's really fast. Wait, I think that might be record fast.
That's the NCAA record.
Yes. Yes. Question number 2. Raise your hand if you knew that the American record in the men's DMR was broken at the NCAA meet.
I did not know that.
I don't remember. I'll be honest. I
So
felt like I might have said it. But...
I'm gonna half raise my hand because I was told that it happened, but I didn't know that it happened, and certainly it was not announced because it wasn't done by the team that won.
Yep. Came down to Virginia and North Carolina.
But Virginia's half miler is British.
Yes, exactly. Right.
They didn't know. And they were informed the next day. So you get where this is going.
Right.
But let me let folks behind the curtain to understand. Now that we've gotten to where Bella has set an American record and North Carolina men have set an American record, there is no drug testing at the meet. We all know that drug testing must happen.
Mm-hmm.
So now, who do we call to find out how we do this? Now, does anybody else have a problem with the first thing I just said? We don't even know who we're supposed to call because there's not a person at the meet.
Mm-hmm.
Which is insane considering the number of American, African, Australian, and whatever national records get Caribbean records, the number of national record, area records, and the occasional world record that have been set at the NCAA meet, right? So the fact that there's not a representative even there for information's sake, hey, you broke a record. Let me tell you which 3 steps you have to, right? You're responsible for knowing this. Let's start there. So obviously, Cheeks has a problem with the process from the beginning. Now, let's suppose that you are in the know and you know that it must happen. You find out who you call. In this case, they're American, so you call USATF. You have to know who to ask. I'm not going to tell you who, but you have to know who to ask, and they give you the information. Hold on. Call this number. You call the number, and they tell you there is no one that we can get to the facility in Virginia inside your 24-hour window. There is another testing service that may be able to help you, but they are not WADA certified. So basically, that part of the sentence was useless. Wait. You may be able to go to them. Hold, please. Beep, 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 beep. Click, get back on. There is a testing agent that you can get to within the window. Where is that? In Roanoke, Virginia. That is a 3-hour drive.
Wow.
That your school must undertake if you want said record ratified. Bella's in the 4x4. So that's 3 hours at the end of the meet, which they did. They changed plane tickets, got her all the way to Roanoke, and Bob's your uncle.
Wow.
But in the North Carolina case, same scenario, except for the fact that they had to run that day.
Oh.
Because they set the record the day before.
On the Friday. Oh,
on
boy.
the Friday. So now you have the choice. Go get your record ratified.
Yeah.
Or continue to try to score points for your national championship. So I say all these things to say, A, I would really like to enlighten people as to how ridiculous our sport can be.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, you are penalizing the elite who have done things right. This whole concept of drug testing is too expensive is insane, but everybody's talking about like, well, we got to stop the drug teats. And no, you're penalizing people who are doing things the right way and accomplishing things. And that for me, and this is a bold statement because our sport is dysfunctional in so many ways, but I think that may be the most dysfunctional. After you train, taper, compete, win, and PB, we now have an entire gamut of hoops that you must jump through.
Yep.
And I just wanted to ask you wonderful people, am I the only one that feels like this is ridiculous?
It's obviously ridiculous. Ultimately, what it really is unprofessional.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't be on the coaches to know, like, hey, Kareem is likely to break this record or has the possibility to break this and have to set the table in advance. Like, it's not that complicated to just have the proper authorities on site.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost that much money. One of the things that was debated at the coaches convention this year was, should we have mandated drug testing at the WADA level at the championships? And of course, everybody said yes. What took me back was the amount of people in the room, hell, the amount of people serving on the high-level committees that didn't understand that the NCAA level testing, even if they are there to give a test, is not high enough.
It's not sufficient.
No. No.
And the reason that it's not high enough for it to matter is not, it doesn't have anything to do with anything other than just that's not who the NCAA contract. It's just business.
Yeah.
It's just business. So when that conversation devolves, then it turns into, well, can we have a rule that says, that allows me as the coach to pay for a WADA level test for my athlete that has broken this record? And that was a point of like, well, why should we have to do that? Apparently we have to do that because the structure is not in place. So yes, I'm willing to do it, but I need permission from you people to do it.
Which is like, the more we pick at this scab, the more I realize that track is suffering from internal bleeding.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so crazy to me that I'm in more of an uproar about this than many others. Like, I have been at a track meet where someone broke a world record and I was one of two people that had to inform that person's coach exactly what he needed to do to get that record ratified. And it required a drive of a couple of hours almost immediately. And I thought to myself, if I'm not there and the other person who was there wasn't there, if just for whatever reason we're not there, it never happens. And it's like that shouldn't be. Like, I want you to imagine, like, Patrick Mahomes throws a 99-yard touchdown pass, right? He's responsible for A, knowing that it's a record, and B, drug testing himself. Like, it just doesn't even sound like only in our sport would this be a thing.
I think that the voting would and will go different if everyone knew this. Just period. Like, I don't know that everyone knew the extent of these circumstances. After the fact, during it, and how it affects the competition. Because it's happening at the D2 level now. Right? I know we only vote for D1 for what we're doing, but like, it's happening. Oh, wait, no. Yeah. But like, so you don't know what you don't know. And people are making these decisions or voting on these decisions based off of what they only know. And until they get into it, they vote for what they feel like is cleaner, easier per se.
Man, I
think so many people think they think drug testing and they think nefarious, right? And so they feel like, well, this isn't going to affect me. I don't have those kind of kids. But they don't understand. It's like the people it really affects are the ones who break records.
So I decided, I decided to go look at the list of World Athletics certified equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an entire catalog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, how did these companies get on this World Athletics certified list? Do we know? Do we know what they did to become the sole beneficiary of, well, if you want your record to be ratified, they have to be on this list, right?
Oh, it's even deeper than records, because I'm so glad that you brought this up. If you're a discus thrower and your discus company is not on this list, you can't throw your discus at world championships or the Olympics.
Is it the same for poles?
There aren't that many pole makers. They're all on there.
They're all on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That one was probably kind of easy for them.
They have certified landing areas. You hear me? They're certified landing areas. Like, what? And I'm glad that you brought this topic into our purview, because they're certified uprights. Okay. Like, I can't make this up.
Yeah.
This is what they're certified crossbars. Listen.
So what's funny is, and I know that Chu was going to say something about this one, when they changed the peg lengths for record purposes, a great number of schools couldn't afford new standards and didn't know that they could get just the shorter pegs. Right. So they didn't do anything. If you were to go to that school and compete and break a record, upon further review, no, you didn't.
Right. Certified throwing cages.
Yep.
It's insane. So, I mean, it goes way past, what we now have to deal with, where we have to get our meets on the calendar. Right? The meet has to be on the calendar. We've got to pay $100 to get our meet on the calendar. But it's become such a, I don't even know what to call it. It's a kerfuffle now. Like,
it's the onion. You have to peel the layer after layer after layer to layer to get to what you want.
I'm going to piss so many people off with this, but I have to ask this question. How come you can lose a world record for not using certified blocks, but you can break a world record with a light show that tells you the exact pace you need to go, as well as a rabbit?
Because, and I'll answer that question, because that light system costs a lot of money. Okay? And there are only very few people that make said light system, right? And because they're using it and we're seeing it being used, right? You can't tell me there isn't a kickback. Oh, did I say that? I'm sorry. Did I say that? Come on, man.
Listen, the light show and rabbits are both cheating, folks.
Yes.
I don't care what anyone will tell me. And you know how you know that it's cheating? Go to a championship meet and watch what happens in the prelim. Nobody runs to the front. Nobody runs fast, because none of them know how to race. They just get in a line and follow around for laps on pace, on bouncy tracks.
But that's why the changes to the Olympics this year were so awesome, eliminating the time qualifiers.
Sure.
Yeah.
It forced racing.
I couldn't agree with you more. We were all, you remember when we had the show, we were all applauding the elimination of the little Q.
And I'll just say, after coming from indoor championships, one, we should enforce racing in all the distances, and two, I am offering anybody in the distance world that wants to come here and explain to me why the distance runners get 3 extra people in the finals versus everybody else. I need to understand it. I don't understand it. It seems like some archaic nonsense to me. If there's only 9 jumpers in the final and there's only 8 people going around the oval and there's only 8 people in the 60, damn it, 8 or 9, pick your number. But we can't have this. Like, I don't understand. So we need to get rid of that, and we need to force racing in the prelims. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's next, Drew?
I was gonna say, should we stay on topic? We did, but we didn't.
We did, but like, I think it's important for people to understand. You need to know what can happen if you go out and do your job really well. If you go out and recruit an athlete of a certain ilk and you are a coach of a certain ilk, if you put those two things together, we just discussed a thing that you're going to have to deal with.
Yep.
And it's important that you know this, because many of you aspire to have better athletes. But you need to understand, when you get better athletes, if you're a really good coach, there are problems is not the right word. There are hurdles and obstacles and steps that come with having these better people. Also with having international people. You now need to know national and area records of places.
Well, I mean, the simple one, and we'll go transition after that, is the simplest thing that you can have for a record at any meet you have, but you're either hosting, this is really on the host school, is to have a steel tape measure.
Mm-hmm.
That's like literally the first step. And many people don't know this, and that's crazy. And it's not crazy. I shouldn't say it that way. It's unfortunate because they just don't know. So anyways, all right, I'll get off the soapbox on that one. But March Madness.
Don't bet on it.
I was just gonna say, it was all over the office today. Don't bet on it.
Yeah.
Don't bet on it. I don't even know who you got. I have nothing.
No, they can't bet on it, but
I tell you what, college basketball might be in the biggest, the most tumultuous circumstance of any college sport. Because simultaneously, you have all the things we always talk about: transfer portals and NIL deals, and disgruntled players who have not had their NIL deals paid out the way they were told. So, but now you have another, disruptor. The portal and the NCAA tournament calendars don't match up right.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, West Virginia got snubbed, right? They should have got in instead of North Carolina based on resumes, whatever, right? But as soon, like, the kids hadn't even licked their wounds to find out that they weren't going, and their coach left to go to Indiana.
Right.
Today,
yes,
the coach of the biggest upset alert in the tournament, McNeese State is, what are they, 32-2?
that nobody wants to play right now.
Nobody wants to play them, and Clemson has to play them in the first
Clemson
round.
has to play them.
Their coach just took the job at NC State.
NC State.
Yep. So now, literally, college basketball is dealing with something that no other sport has ever had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
It like you do all these things to get to championship season, and now in championship season, you have players leaving and you have coaches leaving.
Yeah,
this has never happened before in any other sport.
Yep.
And so the tournament, hell, I need to know who's playing.
Yeah.
Like when I say who's playing, like, look, I would have picked McNeese State to beat Clemson. I'm not going to lie. I like Clemson. They're a really good team. I watched McNeese play 2 games in their tournament. I'm like, I don't want to play that team.
No.
They're a 12, and they were made a 12 specifically to upset a 5.
Right.
But now, I'm not picking them.
I mean, this particular tournament, in my opinion, like if there was a 30 for 30, like a tournament to pick, you have so many sub stories, so many things that are going on beneath the surface.
Imagine a Hard Knocks level.
Oh my gosh!
Like over this, what is this? The tournament's 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. Just imagine.
Yeah.
A Hard Knocks for this 3. We have 3 episodes.
Yep. So you have coaches at smaller schools that have played way above their weight, whose coaches are now moving on.
For sure. Not kind of. They're leaving.
You have coaches at blue blood schools that are literally playing each game to stay in their job.
Yes.
And we know what 2 schools we're talking about right now.
Yes.
Okay.
well, how about
and you
as
have
the AD of a Power 4 school, right? You feel good about having your coach.
Yes.
And then then your coach leaves your Power 4 school for another Power 4 school. That's kind of a lateral move.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I'd rather live in Bloomington than where's West Virginia? Morgantown. But that's me.
Yeah.
That's me. I think there are a great number of people that would flip that.
Okay.
So in terms of my prediction, is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
I am of the opinion that Auburn is going to make it to the Final Four. And it's because of what we discussed earlier. They're the oldest team. They have to be the oldest team.
Because they're the G League roster?
Yes.
What is it?
I believe Florida will make the Final Four because they're the best team.
They're the best.
And yes, they're the best team. Yeah. And on the other side.
And the other side?
On the other side.
Okay.
I think let's see.
This.
While KST is looking it up, it's whack. It's whack that Alabama State play Auburn down the street. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was
did you see that game last night?
Great game. Shout out.
Unbelievable. So I also believe Duke will make it.
We'll make it. I said move.
Whoa.
I think for the first time in a long time, the number 1 seeds would all make it to the Final Four. That's
who's the other one?
Houston.
Yeah, Wilson.
So Houston, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Auburn. Yeah, Auburn.
I will say this. I
would say this too.
I have an equal feeling, I guess, about the Final Four. I think I'm only truly I I have strong feelings about the final two.
Mhm.
I think Duke plays Auburn, and I think it's the best player versus the oldest team.
Oldest team. Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, I think Cooper Flagg is substantially better than everybody else in college basketball.
Mhm.
A, I don't think he's going to be 100%, and B, 1 on 6 26-year-olds is going to be tough.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm picking Auburn because I got to believe the G League roster can beat the children. And to be honest, I mean, I really like Bruce Pearl. I mean, he's a really good coach.
Yeah.
I will, for the sake of sakes, go with Houston for the Big 12 love. And that's the only reason why.
I'm
You know
actually
what? I love choose answers.
I mean, it would be kind of a homer pick seeing that I'm from Houston, but I would love nothing more. I mean, watching them last year, you know, and how that all ended for them, I'm actually rooting for Houston to win this year.
I would actually I'd be a fan of that.
All right, are you ready to make your picks, Kai? Are you gonna tell him? You gonna tell him your picks?
Jump.
My bad. Are you gonna tell him your picks?
Who's going to win, Kai?
Okay. Your picks are Auburn. Tell him.
Auburn. Wait, what did I say?
St. John. Tell him.
It just like St. John.
St. John. You can tell him. Tell him. St. John.
I can't say it.
You can't say it. You can't pick East Coast. St. John.
St. John.
Duke.
Say
Duke.
Duke.
Tell them.
There you don't you.
Tell them.
Ah,
Duke.
Duke.
And
Mars or something?
we don't want Houston.
We don't want.
Gotta pick Houston.
We gotta pick. Wake up.
Yeah, I think this tournament might be relatively chalky.
Yep.
Move. To move. Okay.
Are you coaching this weekend?
I'm coaching the weekend.
Now, don't get us canceled from what we almost did last time.
No.
The women's tournament.
Just too loud. Too loud talking, Chuck.
TCU's winning the women's tournament. There you go.
Ooh, there you go.
There you go. There you go.
I'm not usually a bandwagon guy, but
Not bandwagon?
until somebody shows me that they can beat Dawn Staley and those Gamecocks, because here's the thing. I think TCU is the second best team in college basketball, and I watched in person the Gamecocks beat the black off of the TCU Horned Frogs. So I am going to pick South Carolina for the W.
I'm lockstep.
Why?
That interview that Dawn Staley did,
Does
talking about, you know, what she thought North Carolina should have been. I am fully aware what her messaging is for her team during this tournament, and they're going to beat some teams really badly, I think.
Yep.
Don't stop on that. Please.
Yep.
Down.
South Carolina.
No.
Yes.
TCU.
Wow, Chuck. Move it.
Juju Watkins.
Juju Watkins. Chuck, move out the way.
And just for petty, UCLA. I need UCLA and Juju in the Final Four on the same side of the bracket.
Wow, Chuck.
I am here for the TCU transfer narrative. I love it because LSU is on the struggle bus. But at the end of the day, me and Kai are picking the Gamecock.
There you go.
Yeah, listen, the committee was petty as all petty to put South Carolina and TCU on the same side of the 4x in the Final Four.
For sure.
Yes.
Like, bro, they look. I know I'm not the only one that saw that game.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
So
TCU is really good.
Yeah.
But when South Carolina comes to play, bruh. Tell him, Kai. Bruh.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, to wrap up tonight, I've got to reveal the winners of our annual prediction show.
Oh.
And I can tell you
No, I got your
that it wasn't very hard to score.
Oh.
Like
For the
at
win?
all.
For the win?
All right. So on the men's side,
Mhm.
on the men's side,
The two.
sure I'm looking at the right things.
Let's see if
We've
we-
got
We won.
KST with a big fat goose egg.
Oh, we got the first
Like
shutout.
none.
Oh no.
Goose egg.
Oh no.
Oh man.
Yeah, the L.
And I scored 5 points.
Get him, Chew.
Cheeks scored 9 points.
9 points? Okay.
9's my favorite number.
And drum roll to Clyde with a whopping 11 points.
Oh man.
Crazy.
Oh boy.
Crazy.
Oh man.
If I showed you the spreadsheet, the amount of zeros is unreal.
Oh man.
You just
All
won.
right.
We go hard in the paint.
I mean,
Oh.
shoot.
Oh.
We do. Tell him, Kai.
What?
But
Oh.
so what's funny is notoriously, as I went through the different years that we did this and whatnot, we definitely picked the women way better than the men.
Way better.
No dummies.
Title IX is real.
Well,
mean,
because I think the women go closer to chalk.
Yeah.
well, I don't even know that it's closer to chalk. It's for some reason we know certain women's event or more women's events better than certain men's events, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we also think way more male heroics are going to happen. We are much more likely to pick some sort of wild male upset than we are a women's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. See? That's all it is.
So, all right. Although he won the men's side, he did not win the women's side.
Uh-oh.
But Clyde did score 11 points.
The
All
winners.
right.
It is
All
the
right.
winners.
So the irony, right? Because he just won the other side
With 11,
with 11 points.
Right.
Why?
So I then
I like
run up
this.
the back half with 15 points.
Okay.
And with a narrow finish with
Narrow finish?
18
It was
points,
next. It was next.
KST.
Okay,
So
yes.
Cheeks then won with 19 points.
With how many?
19.
19.
Let's
Oh my gosh. Oh Lord.
Cheeks
Okay.
knows the women. That means I won.
I don't think it does.
Why?
19 and 9 is 28.
Oh, you said 19.
Oh, the overall.
Yeah, you got
Oh, never
15
mind.
and 11. Or 11 and 11.
11 and
right?
11, yeah. 11 and 11.
Let's go.
You were to the. Okay.
In Cheeks we
So.
trust.
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
Say that, Kai. Say, in Cheeks we trust.
Cheat, we trust.
There you go. That's my
All right.
nephew.
All right. Well, it's always fun. It's not always fun in the end, but it's always fun going through the process.
We did it.
Hey, I think this is my first W. I feel very good right now.
Oh my gosh.
You didn't feel good, right? We gotta jump
Yeah.
again.
Kai, say congratulations.
We didn't win.
No,
I
I
know.
did though.
We
So
won.
say congratulations.
Congratulations.
Now I can die and go to heaven.
Evan.
All right. Well, as everybody's opening up their outdoor season, have fun. If you're traveling, be safe. If not, I don't know what to tell you. Actually, I do know what to tell you. God bless your bed. So,
Yeah, but you know what it is. If they're not traveling, that means they're probably hosting a home meet.
I
I know.
So with that said, everyone have a great evening, great weekend, and we'll talk again next week. Bye, y'all.
I'm done.
They are. Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Kai.